Storytelling could be the most valuable skill that anybody can have online. I'm talking short form, long form videos, your text messages, the copy on your landing page, emails, and more. Storytelling gets people invested, and better yet, gets them to consume the entire piece of content that you're creating. Storytelling has allowed me to get millions and millions of views on my content. So today I'm gonna break down exactly how to come up with ideas, how to script them out, how to make your videos 10 times as fast. And by the end of this, I hope that you have an idea of a story that you can tell in your content today. There's only 3 reasons you need to know about storytelling. First of all, it is a universal truth. We've been telling stories for 50,000 years to communicate, to pass grandma's lasagna recipe down, to not get eaten by the lion. We are programmed to love the concept of a story, okay? Now, emotions also are a driver of this. We get invested in characters. Think of your favorite TV character. You're massively invested in that person. And so feelings get your viewers invested in you as a creator. And last but not least, if you are sharing information, stories are 22 times more memorable than a simple tutorial video. So consider using stories, but better yet, the average watch time on a video that uses storytelling is always higher. And that means you get full retention through your entire video. The algorithm pushes it out to more people. And that's what you want, is people watching all of your video, okay? So in a sea of sameness, stories are gonna make you stand out. So where do you find ideas for stories, okay? We're gonna start with this. Your interests make you interesting, meaning whatever you're interested in is a great place to start. For example, you could share a story about what you're working on or building. This is called building in public and actually gets people more invested in the thing you're about to put out than just flopping it out there into the world and saying, my new book is here. You want to share the struggles that you have writing that book, what's inside, letting people even comment and participate in the building of whatever you're working on. 2, items that you use or love are great places to start. And you can actually use these as a character in the story, and I'll elaborate on that more. But for example, I made a video about a cheap vending machine and got millions of views, right? Because I was interested in buying a cheap vending machine and turning it into a moneymaker for myself. Something that you're emotional about, something that has struck you, is definitely a great place to start. Testing ideas or theories, right? Testing the viral product, debunking this myth about X in your industry. Those are great places to tell stories. And finally, fixing things you don't like. The question for you is, what are you excited about, okay? What are you excited about right now? Because when you're excited, that comes through the camera, and your interests are way more interesting than you think. If you're super interested in fishing, or if you're super interested in AI, those are the places that you want to look for your first story. Now, before I tell you the structures, you need to know one thing. What makes a boring story is the phrase, and then. So for example, I woke up, I found out my aunt died, she left me an inheritance, I went and picked it up, the end. This is a bad story structure, okay? This, though, is good. Okay, I woke up and then I found out my aunt died, which was totally just destroyed me emotionally. And then I found out there was an inheritance waiting for me if I could get to New York City in 24 hours to claim it. So I went to the airport, but I realized that I lost my passport. So I had to get on a train. Now that train was going to be pretty slow, and I'm barely going to make it to New York City from California, Arizona, Chicago in the right amount of time, but I'm doing everything I can to get there to collect this inheritance. Then I got to New York City and realized I need to get all the way across town, so I hired a limousine to get me there. I just got in with 5 minutes to spare and was able to collect my aunt's inheritance. What we're looking for here are big butts. Anytime there is an obstacle or a but in your story, it is wildly more interesting. There is a YouTube video with the creators of South Park talking about the but therefore method. This is exactly the same, just with a little twist. I like big butts more than I like therefores. So you want to find the obstacles. You want to expose the problems because that is going to make your life and your story more interesting. So what are some interesting buts? Well, first of all, we have just straight up limitations. Time, money, what does that look like? Trying to build a business in 48 hours. Buying a whole new wardrobe with only $50, right? Those are limitations that make your story more interesting. Will they make it? That's what we want to know. Any obstacle in the process. Your pen running out of ink, your computer not having enough power and trying to find a power outlet, anything that is an obstacle in you getting from A to B. There are thunderstorms. These are typically the unexpected. They come out of nowhere, and it's an obstacle that we need to avoid. There are roadblocks. There are self-inflicted butts. Maybe you have limiting beliefs. Maybe you come from a poor family and, don't have enough resources to start this business. Your emotions about it, those could all be in self-inflicted obstacles. And then finally, people. Your mom, your dad, your boss, your neighbor. These are people that could create obstacles in us trying to get where we want to go, okay? So here are the story structures I recommend. I'm going to break these down very quickly so that you could apply one of them instantaneously. The first is filming a vlog or showing a process. I'll link these videos down below. We're taking our audience on an adventure in real time, okay? So this video is about how to get free food, got 1.2 million views in a few days, and there's a few reasons why. First of all, I set the stage and let people know in the beginning of the video what I was trying to do. I was trying to get paid to eat free food. Now, in this particular video, I showed way more than I told, meaning I used a point of view camera to show all the steps, where I was going, what I was doing, so they felt like they were along for the journey. So I used lots of POV shots to make it that vlog style process. And of course, I used a massively universal outcome, which is getting free food. You like free food, right? I like free food. Free food tastes better than food you pay for. And so this video was a success. Start in the middle when you talk about a problem, okay? For example, and that was the moment I knew that I was going to be broke for the rest of my life. I bet you want to know what the rest of that story is. That's where we're talking about a problem, but we're using the middle, that moment of desperation, as the dramatic hook. So we're starting with the worst part. We're starting at the climax of like, oh my God, my entire world is unraveling. And then we unpack the situation. When we unpack the situation, we then need to share how we're going to fix it. And the more vulnerable you are is key. This particular video, I'm talking about how my Instagram account is totally beeped. And, I'm being vulnerable because at this point, I'm growing a massive account. I'm doing really well. And now I'm kind of exposing to other people the other side of this. So being vulnerable is absolutely key. The third structure you can use is outlining a journey from problem to solution. And we're going to basically share how we overcame an obstacle and step by step do that. So the first thing is I'm going to show them something I want. In this particular video, the Apple Vision Pro Quest, whatever it's called, came out. It's like $3,000. And of course, as an Apple lover, I wanted the new product, but there's no way in hell I'm spending that much money. So I discussed that there's this Apple product and I'm really excited about it, but it is way too expensive. And that is my pain. The pain is that I cannot achieve this product right away. And so I am showing you how to get an Apple discount on products using a secret website that I know of to show the solution of how you could potentially get a discount on those expensive products. So, an example of this is I only have $20 to buy an outfit for this gala event tonight. Let's see what I can find. That is problem to solution. And then finally, number 4 is taking the audience on a journey that you're currently on. And I love this format for storytelling because it doesn't mean that you have to actually finalize the video in the first video. You can actually leave them with a to be continued or a cliffhanger. So you can expose one part of the story, see how the content performs. If it does well, you can do more videos on that. So you want to tell them what you're going through, what you're working on, what you plan to do. In this particular video, I'm going from $0 to $1,000 by flipping stuff, okay? So you want to tell them what you're working on, what you think you can expect, and then of course, there's going to be unforeseen thunderstorms and obstacles in your way, and the more that you share them, the more the story gets interesting. And these are all formats that you could potentially do today. Now you'll notice that I didn't use any of the typical pause frameworks. I think all these frameworks really slow you down. I am going to share a framework with you that's 3 steps that I think will really help you in scripting your videos. Now, this is me on my writing pen, and all I can tell you is that if you want to get better at writing, you have to write often. Now, what does that mean? That simply means if you have an idea, just get it on paper. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just throw up vomit on a piece of paper, and then you can come back to it at a later date and clean it up. But once you have the idea, I want you to just write it down. It doesn't matter what you write down as long as you capture the essence of what your spark of creativity was. Now, as you do this more often, you're going to have an entire idea orphanage filled with ideas that you can go to and start working on. This is the process I use to always have an idea at hand, okay? So here's my process. This is 3 steps, and this should change the way that you look at storytelling. First, I need a premise, okay? This is one sentence that's going to explain the entire story. Going from $0 to $1,000 in flips. You know, trying to buy an outfit for a gala event with $20, right? Something that you could text to a friend and say, do you know what this video is going to be about? If you can encapsulate everything into one sentence, not only do you have a great hook for your video, but you have a good premise for an entire story, okay? Now, typically people would jump to like, well, what happens in the story? I want you to skip to the end. What are the possible endings of this video? Do you make it? Do you get the outfit? Did you fail at starting the business? Is it to be continued? What are the possible endings for this video? Because that's the hardest part of a story sometimes, sort of wrapping it up in a neat little bow. And then you can decide how you get there. What happens in between? What steps will you take? What possible obstacles are there? And this is going to allow you to have a beginning and an end where you just need to fill in the middle. Now, if you are doing storytelling and vlogging and that style, you will need to be open to possibilities, okay? You're going to need to be open to every possibility happening because you're not necessarily going to be able to script or plan everything that happens. So just make sure that you're open to all the possibilities. And last but not least, write how you talk. Any dummy can make something sound complicated, use big words, use jargon, and make something overbaked. Smart people can make things simple. I hope you think that the format that I just gave you in those 3 bubbles is smart and simple and easy for you to use. Now, I didn't mention any storytelling jargon or frameworks, but this is the only slide I'll show you that has a framework on it. It's the 4 C's. It's context, conflict, climax, and closure. Now, if we look at this, you know, we can see a big wave here, or a big story arc, if you will. The context is your premise. That's what's happening in the video. The conflict is the person, place, thing, obstacle that's keeping you from getting there. The climax is typically when you're about to give up, but then something happens, right? We found our big but, and then we close it off, whether that's we succeeded, we failed, to be continued, or something that we're going to try again. That is the 4 C's of storytelling. I love storytelling content and reading about storytelling, but I found that sometimes it can actually slow me down from actually writing a story. Now, I also have some powerful starters for you. The 2 words that I love starting a video with are this or today. It's just a really great way to get this thing started. And here's some examples that you can use, right? Today, I'm going to try to make $1,000 to pay off my car, okay? $1,000 is the outcome. Today is Mother's Day, and I'm celebrating by going skydiving with my mom, okay? Today, I figured out how to stop biting my nails. Pain. Today, I learned how to use AI so I can never write another email again. Today, I got this in the mail. It could be any object, anything that you love. This pen, I got this Apple pen in the mail. Have you ever seen an Apple pen before? Probably not. Okay, so those are some really easy starters. So go ahead and write those down or screenshot this. Or this. This pen actually helps me make $1,000 extra a month. Great. This website literally cures pain. This is Mr. Beast, and he just broke the internet with this one new product. This product from Store, and the store should be recognizable because we all go to stores. This product from Target literally just saved my life. I don't care if it's a floss pick. I don't care how small the product is. It's just the relatability of we all shop at stores, okay, even if they're online. This object just made me $1,000, right? This pen, this fingernail clippers, it could be anything. It could be anything that you use. This camera made me $1,000, and here's how I did it, okay? So now I want you to try. And here is a little framework. It's problem, agitate, your big butt, therefore, and a solution. Today I figured out how to stop biting my nails because I was tired of my fingers bleeding everywhere I went and looking like a meth addict, but I couldn't find a solution. I tried everything. I even put the nail polish on to where it tasted bad, but then I got addicted to the taste of the nail polish. Therefore, I had to research all the best options, and here's what I found. This one thing helped me stop biting my nails. That's just an example off the top of my head. I'm doing creative jazz here with you, okay? All right, so now you should have some good ideas. You should have a framework and some ideas that you could potentially be storytelling with, okay? Now we need to actually shoot the story, all right? Now, I don't want you to run out and buy a new camera and lights and all this stuff. You have a phone. It has everything you need to be shooting videos. And the first thing that I can say is that I want you to consider showing, not just telling, okay? In storytelling, we can use our words and they can be very powerful, but videos being a visual medium, people like to see what's happening. So I love to use this point of view, 0.5 mode on my iPhone. If you're not an iPhone, I'm sure there's an equivalent on an Android phone at this point. But the thing that you want to be doing is you want to constantly be documenting the thing you're working on. I don't care if it's you typing at your keyboard or walking into a closet, but the more ephemera that you have, the more visuals that you have, the better you're going to be able to not only show what you're doing, in addition to telling what you're doing. So look for unique angles. That could be from above, from below, from the side, from a car, anything that you can think of that really drives the point home, whether that be visually, emotionally. I'm not talking about using VFX or anything, but the more that you document, the better you are. So always be capturing, because you can always shoot more, but you can't shoot less. You know what I mean? So here's a hack. This is what we call B-roll, or I will refer to as B-roll in your videos. And if you're an iPhone user, and there's probably a Google equivalent of this, all of my stuff gets backed up to the cloud. So if you're an iPhone user, you can continually just film whatever you want, and then you're going to go into your iCloud, click on Photos, filter by videos, and every video that you've ever taken is right there. And you can search by date, location. There's all kinds of different search features so that you can download them to your computer super fast, and you're not spending your whole life trying to find that picture in your camera roll, because if your camera roll is like mine, it's a disaster, okay? So always be capturing little pieces of ephemera for your story. Now, when it comes time to putting the video together, I found two ways that really speed up this process, okay? It's either a voiceover or talking to camera. Now, this is what I'll call the base or the foundation of my storytelling content, all right? If I've written out a script, I can literally read it on a microphone and have the audio that I will then put visuals to. Or I can speak to the camera like I'm doing now and talk about the entire story and then build out the story with visuals to help drive that home. I like both. If you're building a personal brand, always good for you to be on camera. So let's take a look at what that looks like when we put it together. Okay, so in the middle here, in my yellow hoodie, you can see that is my main clip. That is me talking to the camera. That is the foundation of the video. And on top, I've layered in specific shots and B-roll that I took during the story of this video, the process that I was going through. And I'm adding those on top. This is Final Cut Pro. I don't care what software you use to edit, you can still do this. Even free CapCut accounts, Adobe, everything, they all work the same. So this is how I'm laying this out to make these videos fast. I'm making one giant piece of content and I'm layering everything on top of it like a cake, okay? So the icing, the design all goes on top. And then of course I'm adding music, and I even have sound effects that I'll use if there's motion or if there's a big impact that needs to hit. Absolutely, trying to bolster the story with sound. If you've ever watched a TV show without sound, you'll know, specifically sad shows, that the violins are what make you cry. It's not really what they're saying, okay? So consider using music to enhance your story. You've already seen all the videos with music and sound effects, so you already know what I'm talking about, okay? So here's some things that you need to consider. One, you need to consider the hooks and the topics you're choosing. In our program, we teach a 3-step system where the very first phase, all you're focused on is reverse engineering attention. If you want to talk about a typewriter, that's great. But if you want to talk about AI, it's going to have a lot more attention to it. So just consider that your hook is really the premise of your video, that one-sentence statement, and just make sure that you're leveraging things like that are going on in the world, whether that be, Logan Paul's Prime or ChatGPT. Try to talk about the biggest things that you can to get more people invested in your story. Number 2, be relatable. The more vulnerable and relatable you can be in 2024 is where you're going to win. Nobody believes anything anymore. Nobody believes that people are making money. Nobody believes what people are doing. And the more relatable you are, the more believable you are in your story. Number 3, use emotion. If there is an emotional part of this, whether that's internal or external, emotion sells stories. Show, don't just tell. Please give me the visual. Show me where you are. Show me what you walking. Show me everything that you can. Remember to use the 4 C's, which are context, conflict, climax, and closure. And whatever you do, find as many buts as you can in your story. I cannot stress this enough. The obstacles in your way make your story way more interesting, because nobody believes that you woke up this morning and started a business in 5 steps in 48 hours. The buts make your story more relatable, more adventurous, and will keep people watching all the way through. Hey, if you have any questions about storytelling, drop them in the comments below. I will respond to each and every one. And if you want to connect with me, just follow me on Instagram at Travis Brown, or right here on YouTube. Hit the bell, do the thing. And of course, if you'd like to take your video creations to the next level, I have a membership that teaches you our proven 3-step system for getting viral videos based on expertise. I'm dropping the link down below in the comments. It is super affordable, literally less than the cost of a Chipotle burrito. So if you're looking for a proven system that does not rely on trends, hacks, tricking the algorithm, or buttons that you press on social media to actually get views, I highly recommend you check that out. Have the best day ever. Cheers.